If you have a business that makes money, then there are three main ways that you can reinvest the money that you make from your business. Now, everyone knows what these three ways are, but very few people actually have a proper plan for putting money into these three ways of reinvesting. And virtually nobody understands the true importance of number three. So I thought in today's video, I would explain what these three ways are. In case you don't know me, my name is Ollie Richards. I'm the founder of StoryLearning.com. I'm also a mentor and advisor to online education entrepreneurs. Now, the first main way that you can reinvest money from your business is back into the business itself. Now, this sounds really obvious, but it's important to understand why this is so important. Money within a business is always going to be able to generate you higher returns than in virtually any other vehicle. If you put money in the stock market, for example, you might expect to make 7-8% returns over the long term. But within a business, you're able to get 20, 50, 100% returns on your money, and it's under your direct control. So money within a business is incredibly efficient, and where you have growth opportunities, it always makes sense to put money behind that. Now, when you're first starting your business, virtually everything is going to go back into growth in different ways. But when your business gets larger, you have to start to balance risk a little bit more. And so it's useful to have a way to think about how much you want to reinvest in the business. The way that I think about this is that if I've got growth opportunities within the business that I'm excited about, that I believe in, that I think have potential and that are under my control, I want to make sure as far as possible that these are all fully funded. But at the same time, I also like to maintain profit margins in the business. The longer your business goes, the more you do want to have a certain amount of stability. So what I say is that I will invest in any growth opportunity that I really believe in whilst maintaining 30% net margins in my business. Ideally higher than that, but I think 30% margin for an online business is healthy, and I like to keep it at that level. So I'm fully funding all growth opportunities that I can, whilst also maintaining healthy margins. Now, the second main way to reinvest money from your business is actually to take it out and to invest it yourself personally in traditional investments like stock market, like property and things like that. Now, you don't tend to hear this talked about much online, and the reason is that with online conversation and social media, everything gravitates towards the extremes. It's like the financial version of hustle culture. So all you tend to hear about is people's angel investments that 100x'd and their crypto and this, that, and the other. But in reality, remembering that most businesses never sell, and if this business is your main income generating vehicle, then as time goes on, it makes sense to diversify away from that risk. If you've got 99% of your net worth in your business, you do not want to be in a situation that many startup founders find themselves in, which is that you work on your thing for 5-10 years and then, God forbid, it fails and you've had all of your net worth tied up in that. As a business owner, you have a fantastic opportunity to both generate and protect wealth, and it makes sense to start to do this if you plan to keep your business for a long time. Now, with traditional investments like real estate, like equities, you're not going to expect to make more than 7 or 8% annually over the long term. But what's important to remember is that if you do this systematically over decades, then this starts to compound in a very big way, and you'll end up being like Warren Buffett, where 99% of his wealth was made after the age of 60 because of the power of compounding. Now, the way that I like to think about this is in terms of tax efficiency. So in most countries, you have certain annual tax allowances that you're able to take advantage of, and I try to fully maximize these. So for example, in the UK, if you have a limited company, you can contribute directly to your personal pension as a tax-deductible business expense. You're also able to take money out personally and put it in a tax-free savings account, and there are annual limits to both of these things. Now, the thing about this is that it is the cheapest money you will ever be able to take out of the business. And so it makes sense to start there, because losing money to tax is really the easiest thing to avoid up to a point. So what I recommend you do is that as and when you have the funds available, to put as much as possible into the annual tax allowances you have, and automate this so that it happens month in, month out, year in, year out, and you don't even have to think about it. Because what's going to happen is that in 5, 10, 15 years, if you're able to maximize these allowances, you're going to end up in a position where you have so much built up within this that it actually doesn't matter what happens to your main company, because you're going to have this safety net and you're going to be okay no matter what anyway. And so this is best done automated, it's best done on a monthly basis, and it can build you some real long-term stability. And in combination with putting money into growing your business, this is what makes for a really sensible long-term strategy that looks after the business and also you. Now, this brings us to the third way of reinvesting money from your business, and this is to invest into your own education through mentorship, coaching, masterminds, courses, things like this. Now, before you roll your eyes, let me tell you that I know everyone knows this and everyone pays lip service to investing into their education, but virtually nobody I meet does this in a proper way. does it proportionally to the benefits. And that's because I think most people don't understand the true benefits of investing in your education, because your education has a higher return than anything else, probably everything else put together, including reinvesting into your business, including taking the money out and investing personally. And to demonstrate why this is, I'm going to tell you 3 stories of things that happened to me. So first was back in 2015 when I joined Russell Brunson's Inner Circle, and I was surrounded by people who were real masters at paid traffic. Now, I knew what paid traffic was at the time, but it was only when I was actually there around these people that I understood the true mindset behind growing a business through paid media and what's everything that's involved in actually doing that. And through that understanding, through being able to meet these people and really just feed off their energy, this totally changed the way that I went about growing story learning, and I ended up growing it a lot more as a result of having been there. Had I not been in the room, I would have had a much slower mindset towards growth. Now, the second example is with a business coach that I used to work with, and he would always do something very interesting, which was pushing me towards thinking about what the more advanced version of my business would do. So he would ask me, what would the 8-figure version of story learning do? What would the $10 million a year version of Ollie, how would he think about this problem? And this got me to really just look at all different problems within the business from a different perspective. And this is something that I would not have got to by myself, because it took a lot of back and forth, a lot of challenging, a lot of pushing from my coach in order to actually start to think in this way. And the third example of one of these big mindset shifts was what I learned from a business mentor who had a very similar business to mine, but was 5-10 years further down the line. And he really helped me understand different economic models behind customer acquisition, especially when it comes to high ticket and how high ticket can interact with paid media in order to form sustainable growth models. And this was something that was very new to me and was a total mindset shift that got me to think about customer acquisition in a completely different way. And so with all of these things combined, these are things that I could have read in books, and at various different points I probably did read in books, but there's a world of difference between understanding something theoretically and then being able to work with someone who can help you think through it, challenge you, push you on various different aspects. Now, these 3 examples are all ways that I've had my mind expanded beyond belief through investing directly in education. Now, all of these 3 examples were extremely expensive. I spent tens and in some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars on this. But without that, I wouldn't have had these mindset leaps, these brain expansions that I had. All of this information is available in books and blog posts, but you're never going to get exactly the same outcome from that, because it's with working with people in particular that you get challenged, you get probed and prodded, you get pushed to think in different ways. And this is the reason that education is so much more valuable than any other way to reinvest your money, because what this education does is it allows you to develop the mindset that will help you to grow from 5 figures to 6 figures, 6 to 7, 7 figures to 8 figures. And so by increasing your earning potential, that makes everything else, that reinvesting in your business, that taking money out personally, is so much more powerful, because you're making more money in the first place. And so what I try to do now is to reinvest at least 10% of profit annually back into education. And this, I think people resist this sometimes because education doesn't always have a very tangible, immediate return. And it's not the case that you spend 10 grand on something today and that you immediately get that return tomorrow. Often it's the case that this return comes over a period of years when you let the information sink in, you apply it into your business, you learn the lessons in a first-hand way. But without that knowledge, without that experience in the first place, you would never be able to make those leaps forward, or at least it would take you far, far longer. So what education does is it gives you the mental tools to be able to grow your business far faster than you would otherwise, and it's why it's so important. Like I said, I try to invest 10% of profit into training and education, and this comes in the forms of mentors, coaches. It could be joining masterminds, it could be paying to spend a consulting day with someone who has access to the information you need, whatever it may be. It is that important. And so as a final little exercise here, just in the comments, I want you to think about how much in the last year you spent on your education as a proportion of annual revenue. What is it, 1%, 5%, 10%? Just do a back of a napkin calculation and put that in the comments. Give me the honest answer here, because this will be hopefully a kind of forcing function for you to think about the level that you're investing in education compared to what you potentially should. And if you like this video, then you should definitely check out this video over here, which YouTube seems to think you're really, really gonna like.